Imagine a time when humanity's ambitions to travel far beyond the moon were easily practicable, where the power of nuclear explosions could propel us to the farthest reaches of space. This was the promise of Project Orion, a bold and controversial plan that could have changed the course of space travel forever. This is the story of one of the most exciting operations of the Cold War era, when the space race was taken to the next level, and it wasn't the moon. During the Cold War, the principle of taking the high ground in warfare was given a completely new meaning. It was no longer just about occupying an elevated terrain to gain combat and psychological advantage in gunfights, nor was it just about flying the stealthiest warplanes. Instead, it was about reaching the greatest heights to loom over the enemy. It was about superiority in space. The US and the Soviet Union outsmarting each other to dominate the skies, and space wasn't just about prestige. It was about gaining a critical edge in intel, defense, and potential offensive capabilities. The space race was in full swing, and both nations made their maximum effort and utilized all their resources and capabilities to gain an advantage over the other. The world watched as both superpowers seemingly traded blows, each new conquest proving unsettling to the other. The Soviet Union's Sputnik was answered with Explorer 1 4 months later. Yuri Gagarin's Earth orbit in 1957 was responded to with a similar feat by Alan Shepard after 4 months. People were fixated on landing on the moon, no less. But secretly, a team of scientists and engineers in the US had planned to go beyond. It was codenamed Project Orion, a fitting name symbolizing the mythological hunter. Project Orion asserted the revolutionary idea of using nuclear explosions for propulsion. The plan was simple, yet daring: detonate small nuclear bombs behind the spacecraft to propel it forward. It sounded like fiction, but this was serious science. It could have been a redemption of sorts for the US, that after the horror that nuclear bombs sowed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, productive use could come out of it. Project Orion was a collaboration involving the US Air Force, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. The minds behind Project Orion were some of the brightest and boldest of their time. Ted Taylor and Freeman Dyson, both geniuses in theoretical physics, led the project. Freeman described his team as a bit mad, yet they were a group of visionary scientists and engineers who enjoyed free rein to explore wild ideas without bureaucratic constraints. Planning and tests were done secretly at General Atomics in San Diego, California, the Nevada Test Site, and Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico. If any, the Cold War was a time of immense technological breakthroughs and innovation. The Orion team thrived in this environment and pushed the boundaries of what was possible. Imagine this: a spacecraft protected by a massive shock-absorbing pusher plate, weighing between 500 to 1,000 tons. Each nuclear bomb would be ejected and detonated, creating a thrust that could potentially send the Orion to any part of our solar system within a year. Alpha Centauri, our nearest star system, may be reached in just over a century. For comparison, the unmanned Voyager spacecraft, currently the farthest human-made object from Earth, took 3 to 4 years before flying by Saturn. As for reaching Alpha Centauri, Voyager would take 77,000 years. To reach those destinations, Project Orion was developed through several bold hypothetical designs that pushed the limits of what was previously believed to be feasible with nuclear propulsion. The smallest design was the satellite Orion, about 17 to 20 meters or 56 to 65 feet across and weighing 300 tons. It could carry up to 540 small nuclear bombs, each about 0.22 tons. It was intended for missions within the Earth and Moon system. Next was the mid-range Orion. This model was larger, with a diameter of 40 meters or 130 feet and a weight of 1,000 to 2,000 tons. It could hold 1,080 nuclear bombs, each between 0.37 to 0.75 tons. This model was designed for interplanetary missions, possibly beyond the moon. The largest design was called the Super Orion. This giant was 400 meters or 1,300 feet in diameter and weighed around 8 million tons. The scientists and engineers envisioned it to be as large as the Empire State Building and would need 1,080 huge nuclear bombs, each weighing 3,000 tons. It would be as if Super Orion was a flying city traveling at 10% of the speed of light. It would be a space colony of 15,000 people whose top mission was to reach that distant planet that had previously been a mere sight in the skies. Of course, Earth's moon was a feat, but the Super Orion was designed to embark on interplanetary missions. So the travelers aimed beyond. They were headed for Saturn. In 1959, a workable model roughly equivalent to the height of a 20-story building and a weight of 4,000 tons was created. This model's design simulated artificial gravity for long-term spaceflight and safe return to Earth. In 7 years, a series of tests were focused on propelling miniature models through explosions. The most successful model test, in November 1959, reached roughly 100 meters in altitude with 6 sequenced chemical explosions. Although Project Orion held great potential, it faced several difficulties. The biggest ones were related to space debris and nuclear fallout, or radioactive particles that fall from the sky after a nuclear explosion, and its effects on politics and public safety. The atrocities in Hiroshima and Nagasaki were still fresh, and it was difficult to justify setting off hundreds of nuclear bombs, even in the vacuum of space. The possible exploitation of the small nuclear bombs used in the propulsion system was another major concern. Even Freeman Dyson acknowledged that the presence of these little nuclear weapons may be a serious security danger if they were to fall into the wrong hands. There were serious ethical and security concerns when it was thought that a spaceship might store and use hundreds or perhaps thousands of tiny nuclear weapons. This worry increased the difficulty of securely deploying and handling so many nuclear weapons, both during the operation and in the manufacturing and transport. The project had further problems with viability. While simulations and model testing revealed both Orion's potential, so were the shortcomings. Massive engineering difficulties included the precise timing of bomb detonations, the safe handling and storage of nuclear warheads, and the durability of the pusher plate. The bureaucratic hurdles grew immense. DARPA grew wary, and the Air Force lost interest. The final blow was dealt by the U.S. government's signing of the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty in 1963. This treaty prohibited nuclear tests in the atmosphere, space, and underwater, making Project Orion's vision unworkable. Eventually, Project Orion was discontinued. NASA shifted focus to liquid fuel rockets, leading to successful missions to the moon. But imagine the leaps humanity, no less the Cold War-era U.S., could have reached had Project Orion succeeded. Imagine the new space frontiers reached. Imagine having the answers to questions that extend beyond what the eyes could see. Project Orion is a prime example of thinking outside the box, as Dyson noted. The project may have died out, but its spirit of breakthroughs and bold thinking continues to inspire. Today, the dream of nuclear-powered space travel lives on, much like the former Soviet Union, which had counterparts to the Orion. Research continues, with new approaches and safety measures. Ultimately, Project Orion serves as a testament to human ingenuity and aspiration. It awakens the hunter in man, asking the most insane questions that lead to incredible discoveries.